When I talk to homeowners about their upcoming renovations or new builds, a lot of times their automatic reaction is something like, I don't have the time to plan it myself, or I'm already so overwhelmed, I just can't take on anything else. And I understand that. Life is crazier now than ever. But today I want to share with you why the overwhelm and the busyness are not actually reasons not to plan your own renovation. And in fact, are the exact reasons why you need to. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and this week I noticed that there's a nutritionist promoting her new book that's all about protein and muscles in our body and how great it is for our health. And I definitely subscribe to this line of thinking and have seen and continue to see the positive results of getting more protein in my diet and from lifting weights. So this content really caught my attention. One Instagram reel promoting this particular podcast episode, which was promoting the book, was really quite controversial, and therefore it had a lot of comments. And so, of course, I got sucked down the rabbit hole as a way to procrastinate on brushing my teeth. Many of the comments supported what this lady had said, and many of the comments called her a total nut bar for all of the different reasons. And one of the comments that stood out to me, out of the 700 that I quickly scanned through, was something like, yeah, protein's good, but what about fiber? That's important too. And okay, of course, my immediate reaction was, okay, yeah, that's important, along with water and, healthy fats and the vitamins and minerals and the right carbs and reducing salt and sugar. And, the list goes on. This 30-second reel is really just about making sure we eat enough protein. It's not saying that protein is the single only thing you need to be concerned about, or that it's the most important thing, or that you don't need fiber. This lady saying one thing about protein does not mean that she's also somehow communicating her views on fiber too. Right? Silence on this topic of fiber is not a message about fiber not being important. Like, come on, lady. These are just the comments that don't offer any value. But then as I started thinking about it more, as I finally got to brushing my teeth, my mind wandered and I had this insight. This is why people, and especially women, are so overwhelmed today. Right? We know more and more and more about more topics than people ever did in the past, right? Just this one topic of the macros that we're supposed to be eating, with so many vastly different viewpoints based on different research, it's really mind-blowing. Here's this doctor with a PhD who has done all this research and is sharing that people need to eat more protein and lift weights to build muscle, and that this is the foundation for longevity, brain function, and all sorts of other beneficial things. She's saying one thing, and then you get other doctors with PhDs spouting the benefits of a plant-based diet without any animal-based proteins. And then you have the keto diet that promotes a lot of fat intake and doesn't seem to mention too much about the protein at all from what I've seen. And so the point is not that one of these types of eating styles is better or correct. That's not the point of this post. It's just that we're so well informed and we care so much about all these things. And no matter what line of thinking that we adhere to, it is always constantly swirling around in our heads. How will I get the right amount of protein today? How will I eat the right amount of fiber today? How will I do the right exercise today? How will I fit in all my necessary macros into my calorie count? Right? Receiving this type of content on social media and in podcasts and in books is fantastic because we're getting healthier and we're learning more about important topics. But in order to apply it to our lives, we need to be constantly thinking about it and assessing how to implement and judging ourselves on how well we implemented it every single day. And it's not just food, right? It's our kids. We know all the elements now that go into a child's healthy development. Right? So as a parent, we need to manage their diet, their sleep, education, exercise, inner healthiness, their hygiene, their socialization, their screen time, their emotions, their regulation, their exposure, and even their poop, right? I mean, the more we learn about each of these individual items, the more that we need to implement healthy practices and review how well we're doing at all times. And the more we learn about our kids' development, the more we learn that 100% of it comes down to managing our own selves as parents, because if we're impatient with them or we get so frustrated by repeating ourselves 78 times, asking them to very patiently put on their shoes or just eat their dinner, which are perfectly reasonable things to do in life, and then on that 79th time, we start to lose our minds and raise our voices. We clearly know that we're not regulating ourselves sufficiently. So we need to learn more about our own mental health and anxiety and meditation and how to relieve stress and overall be better models for our children. But don't for a second let any of those things take you away from your job. You must take care of yourself as a top priority, but also your job and your kids. And you should probably clean your house, spend some time with your husband or partner, see your friends, and read more, and make sure you have a hobby so that you can be interesting in conversations. Because of course you can't talk about a controversial topic like world events or politics or any other of the current movements in the world without being canceled online and being fired from your job and losing everything that you've built in life. So, you make sure you have that hobby so that you aren't forced to talk about only your kids and your job that do take up 90% of your focus in life. Oh, and also the fact that your parents are getting old and the planet's a disaster and there's no groceries in the fridge. But we need to comment on Instagram Reels because fiber was not included in this 30-second message, and it's also important. I mean, no wonder we're all exhausted and overwhelmed. Right? We are so inundated with information and things to think about and decisions to make for ourselves and other people. It's hard to imagine that we have capacity for anything else. And yet, given all of this, I'm willing to bet that most of you can relate to and feel in life right now that if you had the choice, would you choose to unknow it all? Would you choose to not know so much about the macros we need to consume to optimize our health? Would you choose to not know so much about our kids' development and how to raise happy, confident, resilient children? Would you choose to not know what we know about mental health and managing stress and exercise and how to have healthier relationships and more fulfilling lives? Not knowing would relieve the overwhelm we feel because we wouldn't be thinking about it and trying to make good decisions at all times related to these topics. But would we actually be better off? Would our lives improve if we put our heads in the sand or just covered our ears like my 3-year-old when I'm trying to explain why she shouldn't touch the stove just to see if it's hot? I don't think our lives would be better if we didn't know what we know. Is it overwhelming to continually act on all this knowledge and always try to be great at all of the things? Yeah, totally. Okay. Is this the real issue, right? Not that we know too much, but that perhaps being too hard on ourselves is the problem, right? When we're always striving for perfection and not asking for the help that we need to get there. That's what I think the problem is. More knowledge and active involvement to design our lives a certain way may cause exhaustion and overwhelm. But it's better than not knowing anything about eating healthy and just being upset later about being sick or overweight or generally unhealthy. I believe in the old adage that knowledge is power. Not power over other people, but power to be ourselves and live in our own lives according to our own values and beliefs. Knowledge empowers us to make decisions that are right for us and be in control over the outcomes in our lives. Is that control daunting and scary? Sometimes. But is that autonomy and control actually what makes people the happiest? In most cases, yes. They've done these studies at workplaces. People with autonomy in their jobs are happier than others doing the same job without the same autonomy. Okay, no, I didn't do that research myself, and no, I'm not citing a specific article, but I've certainly read enough about project management, emotional intelligence, and corporate culture, and studied all these things over the years to take this one now as a fact. Autonomy in life is what people want. Freedom to make our own decisions, even if they're bad decisions. We can justify our own bad situations because we were the ones in control. When we're in control, we can have hope. When we're in control, we can have vision. When we're in control, we can be accountable to ourselves. And knowledge is the key to achieving this desired outcome. It's the key to getting what we want because it's the only way we can actually know what we want. We have to learn how to identify our goals first so that we can then identify a path for achieving them, so that we can then implement the steps in that path. Without that knowledge up in step 1, we would have no direction or vision for being better and achieving more. This same principle exists with our homes, and yet most people choose to put their heads in the sand and say no to the knowledge that will give them power over how they live in their most important and expensive asset. Most people decide to renovate their homes and hand over all of their savings, and probably some debt too, to architects, designers, and contractors without having any real knowledge of their home, what they want, their own constraints, their own priorities, what they can realistically achieve with their budget, and what it takes to get all of that. Then at the end of the project, they're left with something that doesn't actually meet their needs. They're left with renovation regret because the project was more expensive than they imagined, it took longer, and it didn't give them the home they really wanted. And people are quick to place blame, right, on the designer, or the contractor, or the architect, and yet homeowners are often the one to blame because they kept their heads in the sand. It would be the same as never learning about how to be a better parent. And then, when your kid turns 47 and they're still living in your basement, you finally think, well, maybe I didn't do the best job here, right? So when I tell homeowners that they need to plan their own renovations, they get scared and they feel intimidated and they say they are already overwhelmed. But I challenge you to think about the results you'll get if you don't know what it takes to meet your needs. Thinking it through and planning it yourself is the way to make sure you get what you want in the end. It's the only way to guarantee that you'll be happy with the end result. Because nobody can make decisions for you and your home better than you. Take the opportunity to be autonomous and own the knowledge. Give yourself the power to make better decisions and live in a home that you've designed for yourself. And here's the thing, I'm not at all saying that architects, interior designers, and contractors are not valuable members of the team. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use them. That would be like me saying you should never ask a nutritionist to help you design a monthly meal plan if you're really struggling. It's okay to know what you want and struggle with the implementation, so you need to reach out to a professional in that case. And that's very, very reasonable and totally fine. What I am saying is that you need to go through the process of learning and identifying what you want so that you can be in a position to reach out to that expert with specific problems. That's how you're going to get the best results and make the most affordable decision. Because never forget that the most expensive parts of any renovation are the services you pay for. It's not the labor or the materials or the finishes. It will always be the services that you could do yourself. So if money is the constraint for you in your renovation, then you need to do your own renovation or new build planning, and my online course, Renovation Planning Academy, is the ultimate step-by-step implementation program to guide you along on that journey. Renovation Planning Academy is made up of 6 modules where I walk you through the steps of identifying your requirements, auditing your existing home, creating your as-built floor plans, defining your scope and budget, nailing your new ideal layouts, making plans for your structure, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, all before you pick up your finishes and specify their implementation. Finally, you'll get your permits, choose your team, use my super detailed contract template, and get ready for construction. All the steps that are required to be completed before you even think about picking up a hammer are there inside the course, carefully crafted with a video and instructional worksheet that outlines exactly what tasks to complete one at a time for every single lesson. Okay? The program holds your hand through each step so that you can progress quickly and make all the decisions at the right time with confidence because you're learning the key strategic considerations along the way. It means that there's no overwhelm because you're not overloaded with information and chaos, picking up tidbits about flooring at the same time as you're figuring out how to vet contractors while you're identifying what you can actually afford. Renovation Planning Academy is perfectly linear and it's the right process to follow. There is no other program out there with this specific process, which is based on a project management framework that I've been developing for 16 years. So if you want your dream home affordably, then Renovation Planning Academy is the vehicle to deliver that. Please don't put your head in the sand and rely on other people to hopefully figure out your home for you. If you want the best results, then you need to start with the knowledge and planning, and that's what I give you inside Renovation Planning Academy, all for a flat fee. And of course, it comes with loads of bonuses and extra value and lots of one-on-one support from me. I have so much more to share on this. If you'd like to learn more about the program and how it can help you with your renovation, go to barncatreno.com/25 and you'll see this video there on the site. And below that, you will see a big button saying, go here for more information on Renovation Planning Academy. And if you're on my website already on that page, then just look down below the video. Thanks for joining me in this conversation. It really hit me so hard this week about why we feel so overwhelmed with life these days and how it's tied to the amount of information that we now know. But then that insight that I had about not wanting to change it was really powerful, and I felt strongly that I needed to share it this week. I wouldn't want to cover my ears and erase my knowledge. So even when I feel overwhelmed sometimes, or a lot of the time, it's actually my choice, and there is peace in that. In fact, just acknowledging the fact that overwhelm is a result of my ability to choose and be autonomous in life has given me a really fresh perspective just in the past 24 hours since planning out this video. And believe it or not, it's taken some of the overwhelm out of the overwhelm. It seems crazy and counterintuitive, but when I had the mindset before about being overwhelmed, it was this feeling of negativity, like it shouldn't be that way, like it was something I had to change. And now, knowing that it's my choice because I actually love having all this knowledge and all this power to choose my story, it no longer feels like something I need to change. I have changed my expectations of myself instead of trying to change my circumstances, and that feels freeing. Already in the past 24 hours, this mindset shift has totally changed how I feel about the overwhelm. I welcome it because I believe in the power of knowledge and autonomy. So if you're feeling like planning your own renovation is going to be too overwhelming and something you can't take on because you don't have the time or the capacity for anything else in your brain, I see you and I feel that too. But it will give you a better result and save you thousands of dollars. Just like eating the right foods will make you healthier and feel better. Knowledge is power. Power that will enable you to live in the home you want and have the life that you really want to leave.